Hey guys, what's up here? Welcome back to another Legends video. Today we're going to be teaching you about the Rift Herald, more specifically when the best times are to use it. Rift Herald is one of these things that's very good at getting you objectives, but with solo queue, people don't really know how to play around objectives, so it's one of these things that's a bit of an enigma for some players, but do not fear, it's nothing too complicated. I'm going to try and keep this video pretty short, because once you understand the theory behind it, you can kind of use that formula and apply it to your own games, and honestly, it's pretty simple. This is another video being made in partnership with our lovely friends over at Pro Guides. If you haven't checked them out already, I highly suggest you do so. They make some very good guides, and also have a very nifty service which allows you to talk to very high rated players in real time where you can ask them questions. To start the video off, I want to address two common misconceptions with the Rift Herald. Number one, it's not a guy, it's actually a girl. And number two, you don't just have to use it for pushing, you can use it for pressure as well. The first of those two is pretty easy to understand. The second one is more of a nuance, because of course the Rift Herald is going to be pushing. No matter how you use it, it's going to push. But it's more about the intended purpose of the Rift Herald's life. So basically what I'm trying to say is you can use the Rift Herald to accentuate your own push, to push harder and get more towers, or you can stick it somewhere on the map to draw attention to that area so that you can then draw the enemy team over there and get something done on the other side of the map. The only things you really need to avoid when you're using the Rift Herald is the fact that it's very easy to defend against if it's by itself. So essentially you just want to protect the Rift Herald if you're using it to push, or if you're using it to get some pressure, then you need to make sure that it doesn't die before you're able to get into position to take the objective that you're setting up for. Remember it as Rift Herald is a selfish lover. Once you whip it out and there's someone else around, it is not going to last very long. And of course you have to be careful not to overkill with the Rift Herald. If you can push something down and you don't need to summon it, then hold on to it and use it for something else. So if I were to give you guys some specific examples, some common scenarios that you might find in game for when you can use the Rift Herald. Probably the most basic and obvious example would be if you were having a small team fight and you came out on top and then you're grouping up as a team to push a tower down. This is a great time to use the Herald because you can protect it with your teammates. You have the numbers advantage, so the enemy team can't really stop you from pushing, and of course you're already in position to push, so the Rift Herald was made for that. Another might be if you've taken the Rift Herald and you're top side and you spot the enemy team going for a play in the bot side of the map. If you slap the Rift Herald down there, it's hard for the enemy team to defend because they've already showed on the other side of the map. So there's a high chance that you're going to get some good value out of it, and if the enemy team doesn't retreat and defend against you, you may even get more than just one tower. Similarly, if your team is fighting and you're a little bit late to the party, it might be a good idea to not try and join the fight, but actually just to go into a side lane with your Rift Herald and split push with it. That way, even if your team loses the fight, there is a high chance that you'll get a tower, so it kind of evens out. And if your team doesn't lose that fight, well then that's perfect, because then they're losing a fight and they're losing their base, and then they're in that really awkward situation where they've got to lick their wounds, but they've also got to stop you from pushing, and you can get a lot of stuff in that situation. And lastly, as an example, I was talking a bit about a pressure early on. Specifically, say the Infernal Dragon is spawning in 20 seconds time. What you can do is recall, set up that Rift Herald in the top lane in your base, so it'll waddle down the lane, but take a little bit of time so it doesn't get to the lane too quickly. Then you can run over to the dragon and start contesting that with your team. That way, by the time dragon spawns, Rift Herald should be pushing down in a lane, and by itself, if left unchecked, it can do a lot of damage. So the enemy team has to decide, okay, do we go and defend the Herald, try and protect the towers, or do we try and defend the Infernal Dragon? Either way, they have to make a difficult decision. As for when to actually take the Rift Herald, honestly, it's pretty bloody simple. People still don't play around the possibility that it's up, so people don't really ward it too much. It's also on the top side of the map, which has the fewest amount of people around, so there's a low chance that you'll get discovered while trying to take the Herald. All you really need is to make sure you have a bit of time to take it undisturbed. Anyone can do it, but it is a little bit slow. For best results, make sure you see the enemy jungler on the bot side of the map, just to make sure that he's not going to stumble across you while you're taking it. But yeah, that just about sums up my kind of mini short guide for the Herald. Hopefully you understood the situations in which it is best to use it, and you can learn a little bit more about the Herald. It's definitely something to try and take if you can. I do value Herald around the same as a tower because there's a very high chance you'll at least get a tower out of taking the Herald. Sometimes you might get less, but at the same time, you might also get more if you play it right. So yeah, hopefully this helped. Thanks a lot for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe to me if you want to see some more League of Legends content. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, and catch me streaming at twitch.tv/Foxdrop. Hit up the description if you want to go and find those links. Most importantly, thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great day, and I will see you in my next video.